Hey, folks! You're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while losing their minds over their transcendent beauty. This week, we're starting off with a Patreon shout-out. Robin J., you are descended from Fauna, the Roman goddess of woodlands, fields, flocks, and fertility, which makes me think there's some freak in there, too. Fauna was goddess to all creatures on Earth, and if you've watched Netflix's Absurd Planet documentary, you'll know that's both awe-inspiring and truly hilariously entertaining. Many forget, however, that she was also the goddess of prophecy, and that wisdom has served you and your loved ones well. You can get a shout-out like you just heard, tons of bonus content, virtual hangouts, and more when you visit our Patreon. And now, Erin and I recap YA romance The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. It's simultaneously a hauntingly sweet, impeccably crafted story about grief, and a time machine that took us back to all the angst and goofiness that was our teenaged existence. Here we go. Oh, hello.
Hello.
How, Erin?
Great. Sleepy. Got up
It's
very
sleepy
early.
over here.
Sleepy. A little
Yeah,
sleepy.
totally. Me too. Mostly because
Yeah?
I stayed up later last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it's a whole thing. Did you like book?
Yeah, I just we didn't talk about having any banter, so I guess we have none.
No, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's okay for the podcast to sometimes just start with book.
Okay.
And then if banter comes to us throughout, we toss it in.
Sure.
And it'll be fine.
Yeah, you know what? It's casual. We don't need to have
This is
bants.
our thing.
We don't need to have chat before book. I've been watching a lot of Love Island. And I need you to know
bants. Yeah. No, I hear that.
Yeah. I loved book. Listen.
Loved book.
I loved book, despite, and let me read you a list of things I hate.
Oh! Wait,
then,
can I just tell them what the book is about real quick?
Yes, sure.
A one-line thing? Mm-hmm. Okay, listen. This book is about the new musical kid at school and a very deeply grieving litter bug.
Littering is on my list of things I hate. Hey, listen. This is if, remember Raise Your Voice? If Raise Your Voice was good and had a dead sister. That's what this book is.
You're
Remember
right.
that movie?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Things that I don't like to read about. Number one, teens. I don't like them. I don't want them. I don't like teens. But it did occur to me, we've only done 3 YA books and none of them have been good. So I'm really happy to do a good YA book on the podcast.
This is one of the most beautifully written books I've ever read. In my entire life.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This thing was
gorgeous,
so lyrical and
visceral.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh God, yeah! It just shredded you
like,
down to the inside.
Yes.
And the descriptions always seem to come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm,
I think the sentence was going one way, and then it would be like a balloon when I thought she was going to make a comparison to a lion or something. It was always out of nowhere, and it was so gorgeous. But yeah,
beautiful.
There's a lot of teens in this
they
YA
are
book.
all
Weird.
Teens. Okay, so number one, teens. Don't like it. Hip, cool names. Don't like them. I don't like a hip name. I like a cumbersome, normal name. I don't. You remember Tatum? I just, guys, just hip names. This girl's name is Lennon after John Lennon. Cool it, guys. All right. Number 3, hippies. Hate them. Hate those hippies.
Erin hates a hippie.
I hate a hippie.
She can't handle a hippie.
Anything that is twee or quirky for quirkiness sake.
Yes, Erin hates that.
A lot of that in this book. Music / specifically jazz. Don't get it. Don't like it. Don't want it. And then the last one is littering. God damn the littering.
God damn this girl. Especially for like living in super crunchy Northern California with a hippie fucking grandmother. What is she doing?
Depositing your to-go cups all over town, ma'am.
Stop it.
Stop it. Like, honestly, the end was relieving to me just because I knew that litter wasn't out there anymore, because it was low-key giving me anxiety the whole book.
I mean, same, except I will say I like never actually saw a to-go cup in the box. So I'm hoping what he did was like transcribe what was on to-go cup and then throw to-go cup away.
Well,
you assholes.
Here's what was giving me a little bit of like a peace of mind throughout the book is that, so the chapters begin with these little poems that she's writing down on scraps and to-go cups and in found objects and books
Candy
and things
wrappers?
like that. And
You
just
monster?
leaving them all around town, right? But every single one ends with found in, found on, found buried, found under, indicating to me that it was found. And while
somebody picked it the fuck up.
While I believed that it was Joe that was likely finding these items throughout the book, and I thought I saw that ending coming, I at least knew that if that wasn't the ending, someone was fucking finding these and hopefully depositing, either treasuring them forever in a shoebox under his bed or depositing them in a trash receptacle or a recycling bin, which is where they needed to be. Yes.
Yeah.
Unless it was a wrapper with a food stuff on it, which does happen, which does need to go in the trash. And she does do that sometimes.
Yeah. You want to know what's weird, though?
What?
Throughout the entire book until the ending, I never once even considered who was finding these things. It wasn't even like a question that was in my brain. I was just like, ooh, poetry.
Okay, guys, we're going to actually recap the book, I promise. But when she finds his diary and he's talking about how she's like so super sad and so super like...
Yes, honest, yeah.
Honest and like really in touch with her feelings and stuff. Heartbroken and stuff. It was like, well, she hasn't...
The only way he would know that is if he was finding these scrap pieces of paper.
She's just a limp noodle at him in person. So the only way he can really be falling in love with her in that way of like... She's so broken and so interesting.
She's so
in
sad.
That way.
I need to make her feel better with my penis.
What? Didn't hate
my
it.
Tongue. I loved it.
Didn't hate it. They're 16.
Loved it.
Melody.
They're 17. Okay. So that's one thing. And also, when I was reading this book, it's written so well that I just transported myself back to being 17.
Oh yeah.
Like, so it was never weird for me. Like her sexy feelings, the makeouts, nothing was ever weird for me because I never felt like I was spying on children. I just felt like I was a child. And it was kind of nice. That's how
Bully felt. Bully felt like I was spying on children. And I was like, I don't want to watch it.
No, I didn't like it. Yeah.
And then this book is the first YA book where when they're talking about like, how in YA books they're like constantly... kind of just insufferable about how smart they are all the time. Like, oh my, I'm reading so much Wuthering Heights and I can't,
I could talk to you for 25 minutes about this. So like, I'm going to let you talk, but then I need the floor.
Okay. I consider me Taylor Swift in this moment, Kanye.
Okay.
All right. So she's reading Wuthering Heights. Her friend is like talking about how she couldn't be with somebody who hasn't read, I think Sartre or Nietzsche or Sartre or Nietzsche, Sartre, assholes who are don't fucking at me with fucking existentialists and stuff. But anyway, they're all talking
I don't care about how existentialists pronounce their names. You know what? And frankly, they don't care either.
No, they did. I went to school, okay? I did it. I got the grades, okay? So, like, just leave me alone now. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, they're always talking about that stuff. Like, they're very smart and very scholarly. And it's always annoyed me in other books. And it started to annoy me in this book. And then I thought, well, fuck, that's how I was when I was 17, though. And they kind of get over themselves by the end. The friend does, for sure. And she does, too. But, like, this whole, like, we're walking and reading and, like, all that stuff, I was just like, ugh. But then I was like, that's how teens are. You know?
I still walk and read.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, but you're also like
know.
quirky and twee. You're the only thing I like that is.
I'm not twee. I'm just cute. I don't do it for cute sake, Erin. I am just naturally a fucking adorable. Okay? But I do still walk and read. I less now because audiobooks have come into my life more and because I don't have a commute anymore. So I walk and read less. But, like, I am a walker and reader. Listen. Okay.
How many times have you read Wuthering Heights?
Oh, God. Okay, so I'm going to say some things that are probably going to be divisive, and I'm sorry. I don't
just read
care.
a list of things I hate that included teens. All of them. You're fine.
No, I'm not going to be fine. And listen, listener, if this is you, I'm not judging you. Okay. It's my feelings on the archetype, especially the literary archetype. Okay. Because this is a literary archetype. Like teen girl who is obsessed with one classic, usually a super fucking tragic one. Like, I don't have time for book snobs in any part of my life, you know? Because you know, as a romance reader, like I read other shit other than romance, but as an out loud and proud romance reader, book snobs just get on my fucking nerves because I'm always being judged. I don't judge you for what you read. And like what I cannot stand about this archetype, she's read Wuthering Heights 23 fucking times, is like I understand waking up and choosing violence. I don't understand waking up and choosing sadness. I don't get it. I don't understand waking up and choosing the story in which these two are like totally freaking in love with each other. And then one of them just like goes and marries a different dude because no reasons. Like, I can't fucking stand it. So between that and then like the beautiful blonde surfer, but then goth because she read an existentialist text one time. Get over yourself.
That's how teens
But then they
are.
do. I know. And then
they do get over themselves. It's so
and
great.
It's great. It really, 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 really is. In fact, this book is so great that she and her grandmother cathartically hack up Wuthering Heights with garden shears.
It was cathartic for all of us. For all of us.
I was so happy, Erin. I just, So anyway, they're very much, and you know what? It's not even just like teen girls, right? Because I can't stand this sort of behavior in anybody. Like anybody who's like, oh, I couldn't be with someone if they haven't read these classics. Or like, I couldn't be with someone if they don't understand the movie High Fidelity. Or like, whatever. It's like, that's not real life. And you're just choosing to have these weird standards that close you off to any good experiences you could listen. It's fine. They get over themselves, and I love it.
And I think part of that theme, this might be just something I'm putting onto the book that isn't in it. This might be Erin projecting. I don't know. But I feel like a lot of that is like teens gravitate toward that kind of stuff, like this whole like suffering is beautiful, like
totally.
I'm a dark-hearted person and like you
because
couldn't
it makes
understand me angst.
Oh.
Yeah. Until something truly horrible happens to you.
Yes.
And then you realize, oh, none of this is this isn't beautiful at all. Like this fetishizing this stuff is not fun. Like real tragedy sucks and is bad. And you know, like I feel like that's part of it is like letting go.
I think absolutely. Seeing what
For
actually
both of
matters
them,
because that's honestly like I understand more the people who are like I love a traditional original Pride and Prejudice or like I love a this or that. It's Wuthering Heights in particular where you're fetishizing two people who are so privileged and so just have it all and are just choosing to live in despair and create problems for themselves because they don't know what real problems are. That's what I can't really stand. So I think you're completely right because let's get into it. So the book opens up Our heroine, Lenny, she's 17, and like a couple of months ago,
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago, her 19-year-old sister just dropped dead of a heart arrhythmia. Out of nowhere, no warning, no nothing. She was rehearsing her role as Juliet in the community theater production of Romeo and Juliet, and then she was fucking dead. So her family is obviously reeling. She lives with her grandmother and her uncle because her mom fucked off when she was 1. And the book opens up because this is like an adorably hippie family, and they have decided that this house plant like is Lenny in plant form, and it follows the course of her life. And they're worried because the plant is super dying and they don't know how to fix it. And they think that this is a direct correlation with what's happening with Lenny the girl.
Who's just sad because her sister died. Like,
her sister has died.
There doesn't need to be a plant mystery, but I understand why people need to project onto items.
Oh, completely.
So the grandmother is like a quirky painter who only paints like women wearing green, and the uncle is like a quirky like pothead who sleeps with all the women in town, who's like also an arborist.
He's a tree stump Todd.
He's a I was going to say a tree trunk Tommy, and that's not even close. Tree trunk Tommy is not even close.
It's tree stump Todd.
It's tree stump Todd. Or
tree
Tammy.
stump Todd, yeah. And
or
Tracy.
Tracy. Fair enough. Remembering things in 2021. Anyway, he's Tree Stump's Big. And he, his name is Big, and he dates all the ladies in town and like fucks them in trees, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Don't hate it.
And then he's
got this
marry all
crazy
of them.
beaver mustache.
Yeah. So I guess his like arborist salary is what is supporting their whole deal. I don't know.
Or like, does the grandmother actually consult about flowers? I don't know.
Does she sell paintings? I'm not sure. What we do know is that they're a very privileged Northern California family, and she is going to a special fancy art school.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probs. Yeah.
Well, she says she goes to the kind of school where there's like optional meditation in the morning and blah, 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 blah.
And like
so
no football team and stuff.
It's like a special type of school.
Fair enough.
All right. So
she's about to go back to school for the first time. And she is, well, she's miserable. She's having a really hard time. And that's completely understandable. And I had a hard time taking notes for this book because every single time I highlighted a line to share it, like I had highlighted 3/4 of the book because
the whole book is highlighted.
It's just so fucking gorgeous. Anyway, so she goes to school and there's a new kid in town. He's a new boy. He's a musical
genius. He's very tall.
This book is actually set in French times, France times.
He's very France. He has been, you guys, it's everything that a young adult teen boy hero is. He's France. He's music. He's dark floppy hair.
He's bat eyelashes.
He's got so much eyelashes. He's so mysterious and he's so new at school.
And yet he's so open that like when he smiles, it lights up the earth. Like he's got this animated face, even though he is also an enigma, which was really hard to pull off, and yet she nailed it.
She nailed it. So he kind of like talks to her the first day.
Well, she goes into honor band, and he is sitting in her seat. Okay, because she is second chair fucking clarinet. She did blow that audition last year because, listen, I'm not going to remember exactly when it happened, so I'm just going to tell you right now. One time, her sister Bailey and her boyfriend Toby and Lenny were talking about...
Who's our heroine, Lenny.
Who's our heroine. They were talking about racehorses and how thoroughbred racehorses have companion ponies. And Lenny in that moment said, oh my God, Bailey's the racehorse. I'm the companion pony. And then she sort of just like cross-applied that to the rest of her life. And she was like, well, companion ponies can't do solos. How could I? How could I be the first chair? I'm just a companion pony. Look at me. in comparison to my sister, I just sleepwalk through life and I'm the plain sister and she's the brash sister and I'm the Wuthering Heights sister. And so that sister's not first chair clarinet.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I kind of get blowing your chair audition.
Me
I
too.
Get it. Because like I was second chair flute pretty much my whole, listen, I was second chair flute. I also, you know this story, I also tried to play other instruments to chase boys around the band.
Yeah.
To sit next to different boys.
Like you do.
I've told this story on the show before. But I distinctly, the girl who was first chair flute, her whole identity was flute. Like she was flute. That's all she was. I shouldn't say that's mean, but she was mean. But anyway, she was very flute. Okay.
Sure.
And I, like, there were some times where I was like, I think I could be first chair flute, but I didn't want to lose. And I didn't really want to be first. I didn't want, because it's like, if you're first chair, then they keep coming for you, you know?
Always.
And so if you lose, it's humiliating. If you get it, she's never gonna fucking stop challenging you. It's gonna be your whole life is like meeting those first chair challenges. I didn't want that. And the solos are nerve-wracking too. Like, she's right. The solos are scary. It's a whole thing.
You're worried you're gonna face plant. I get it.
Got to tune a piccolo every day? Fuck that, you know? Anyway. It's true.
I didn't know where a piccolo came from in that whole thing, but I like it.
Well, usually the first chair also plays a piccolo.
Flute? The flautist also plays a piccolo?
It's the same instrument. It's just shorter. It's like a soprano clarinet versus a baritone clarinet versus a bass, you know, whatever.
Oh, my school was so country. We didn't have band. So I have literally no idea what you're talking about because I am an uncultured swine.
For someone who doesn't listen to music, I was in concert band, symphonic band, jazz band, marching band, and pep band.
Wow. Did you just really
different instruments? I wasn't in jazz band.
You really loved those band boys, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, they're so hot. The jazz band boys. Yeah.
Soulful,
Anyway.
I've heard.
Yep.
Anyway. Okay, sorry. So she goes in there and Rachel's being a fucking bitch. Rachel's the first chair. And she's like, oh, well, oh, hey, HBs. I don't know if you've heard, but we have a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get over 150 bonus episodes, most of which include Erin, videos of regular episodes, author hangouts, and so much more. Do you want to hear Erin and I recap every single episode of Crash Landing on You? What about a little film called Psycho Stripper? Do you want more recaps of ridiculous Thanksgiving and other holiday books and movies? And how do you feel about Naima Simone and I recapping amazing reality TV? All of that and more is on the Patreon. There's so much content at your fingertips as soon as you sign up. Seriously, hours and hours. Anyway, it's patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms Podcast if you want to check it out. And of course, that link is in the show notes. Keep being a badass. While you were gone, Joe just came in and he was fabulous in your seat. And Joe's like, no, I really just like played the notes I had to. And I was just keeping the seat warm. Like, I'm going to go back to trumpet section because I'm a horn guy. And he's like Mr. Sunshine. And Lenny's very like, oh, wow, he's like lighting up my whole insides every time he smiles at me.
Well, she talks about how, like, since her sister died, she's been crazy horny. And she doesn't know what to do. She has not been horny up until sister died. And then suddenly at sister funeral, when all of the boys at sister funeral were looking at her with their big, sad, caring eyes, she was just like, I want to have sex with all the boys at my sister's funeral for the first time ever. I want to do sex. And this is really an unfortunate time to start being super horny all the time.
Grief does weird shit, and I relate.
Yes, I get it 100%. Understand it.
Yeah, from so many different angles. Like, I don't know, you just want to feel something. You want a distraction.
Something not this.
Yeah. You want to just like immerse yourself in something the fuck else, preferably awesome. And it's also, I feel like with her in particular, it's the first time she's felt like people who she could be romantically interested in are giving her attention.
Absolutely. That's what I was
going to say. On a voluntary basis.
Yeah. It's probably the first time she felt these boys looking at her. Ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's a heady combo, you know?
That's rough.
So she's just like constantly wet. And I know that's weird for me to say about a 17-year-old, but please remember,
please be
remember, I just transported myself back to being 17. That's what I did. Okay? So like nobody can come for me. I am talking about myself. So then Rachel's like, wow, I'll miss you. And Joe looks at her and he's like, oh, we'll meet again. But then Lenny sees that he gives her the exact same drop dead gorgeous smile. And she's like, now I have turned into a husk and I hate the world because that smile was not special for me.
No.
So then what happens?
Oh, no.
Listen, I have notes that start at chapter 10 and end at chapter 29. So, I know what happens. So she goes home. And Toby is laying in her Graham's garden.
Oh, right. She does take a garden nap with Toby.
So listen, I also really, really, really understand this. One time I had a landscaping summer job and there were a total of 2 times where I went under a bush to like weed and prune and stuff. And it was just like so hot and so shady and so peaceful that I just fell asleep. Like I had to tell my boss, like, I did take an hour nap, so you may not pay me for that hour. I'm so sorry. So anyway, he is there. And he was going to do some weeding for Graham because Graham keeps on trying to reach out to him because he is also bereaved right now. Like, his girlfriend is super unexpectedly dead. But he did fall asleep. And so she comes up and he says, hey, you, which I don't know that I loved just off the bat. No, it's fine. And then...
Why? What's that? What's that about?
No, listen. It's because of the way she says... he related to her before Bailey died. She says that Toby has always seen her as like basically like she's as interesting as a baked potato. And yet then all of a sudden he's looking for somebody to connect with. I get it. And now we're on a hey you basis. I just felt like maybe cool it a tiny bit, Toby. Like slow roll it a little bit more.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, they start talking about how devastated they are. And they realize in that moment, because she's 17 and he's 19, that they must be the only 2 people on the planet who understand the loss that has just happened to her entire family. He says, like, I've never seen sisters so close. I don't know how you're dealing with this. And she's very like, you turned my sister into a love zombie. So I don't know how you're dealing with it. I don't know if it's now, but listen, at some point, she finds out that he did propose to Bailey.
No, it's not this one.
It's not now. Okay,
This is where they talk about how she's not going to pack up her stuff. She has this thing, she calls it the sanctum, where she goes into, like, Bailey's area in the house and, like, hangs out in her closet and, like, smells her clothes and, like, touches all her stuff.
Get it?
And she's like, I'm not ever going to pack that stuff up. Because her grandmother has been kind of on her to go through all that stuff. And he's just like, yeah, why would you never go through that stuff? We're teens. Yeah. The world is infinite. Like, we never have to do that. So, yeah. Anyway,
but also, it's only been 4 weeks. Like, get off her nuts a little bit, Graham.
Yeah, I agree, Graham. Yeah.
It's been 4 weeks. Stop telling her to get over it and talk to you. It's been 4 weeks. Yeah, so she's like, oh my gosh, nobody understood me until this moment. And then he's like, all right, well, I should shuffle off the buffalo and head back to my house.
He's a cowboy. He's a ranch cowboy.
But he's a skater ranch cowboy.
A skater boy? Like a skateboard ranch cowboy.
Yeah, listen.
Just, what a potent mixture when you're 17.
Right? With floppy surfer hair. I don't know. Right. I understand, Bailey. I get it.
Yeah.
So he leaves, and then so we get another poem, and then she's hiding at lunch, and she's hiding in a tree.
Well, this is after. So Joe Fontaine has his big trumpet solo, which makes her more wetter than anything ever has. You guys, a trumpet solo. That's how bad she's got it for Joe Fontaine, the new guy. She's really into this trumpet solo. Woo. She writes like many trumpet solo poems. Like, a lot.
Listen,
about trumpet solo.
I am a person who is also attracted to talent and passion, and so it really doesn't matter what you're talented at or passionate about. If you put those two things together, it could be like you're passionate about stick bugs and you're really good at keeping them alive. If you got that fervor behind your eyes, I'm probably going to want to do you right up. Who knows? Anyway, no, but she says that, like, it's not only her, it's everybody. They've been bowled over. Everybody's, like, on the ground. And he's blown all the water out of the river. And, like, it's a whole thing. And he's all sheepish about it. And she's very like, ooh, I'm mooning into your eyeballs. And she, like, looks over her shoulder. And then he, like, quirks an eyebrow and smiles at her. And Rachel says, you get off my turf. That trumpeter is
he's out of your league. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Out of your league.
Yeah. I think the first thing she says is that he's accounted for, and then later she says he's out of her league. I forgot. That first time she hung out with Toby, he got a boner. Remember? I completely forgot about that boner.
How did we forget about
our notes
a boner,
aren't great.
Erin?
We're sorry. Our notes aren't great. He did get a boner when he hugged her, and she freaked out and ran into the house. So now...
Also understandable, but now she can't stop thinking about that boner.
Boner. It's like constantly in her
head. Hard on.
So Woody. boner, which I completely get. So then post Joe's trumpet solo, she goes home, and then Toby comes over in like a pebble on the window sort of way, and comes into her room and like wants to hang out, and all she thinks about is like boner. He has
sister's
boner.
Boyfriend, boner.
And she is wearing her dead sister's clothes at this time, I believe.
Yeah, probably. Oh, she takes the clothes off. She's been putting on Bailey's clothes over her clothes to like feel closer to her. She takes it off before he gets there, so he doesn't see. But they sit in her closet, and this is when he reveals to her that he proposed, that she said yes, and that they were going to tell the whole family the next week. And Lenny is floored. Because she feels like...
her sister didn't tell her.
Yeah, her sister didn't tell her. And she feels like it doesn't line up with her conception of what Bailey wanted. Right. Because she's like, what about her acting? She really wanted to go to Juilliard. There's a section where she remembers Bailey getting the rejection letter from Juilliard and being like, oh, I guess you're stuck with me. And like throwing herself into Toby's arms. And it says like as if she doesn't care. But she's like, oh, wow, she's covering up so much pain because of course she cares. This has been her lifelong dream.
Right.
And so she's like, what about her acting and stuff? And Toby was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She was acting.
She was in the community theater production of Romeo and Juliet when she died.
Yeah, that's literally where she was. and Lenny's very like, was she? But she doesn't say that.
Also, they go into how Bailey and Toby met, which is nuts to me.
Nuts. I love it, though. I love it so hard.
Is walking around on a city street, correct?
Yeah.
Reading, like, Water for Chocolate, which is curiously a book we've discussed already on this show several times. However, I think it's kind of a good book for her to be obsessed with.
Agreed.
Because it is about a guy who gets with the sister of the girl that he's in love with just to become closer to that girl that he's actually in love with. So like
weird stuff.
Yeah. Good work.
Good stuff.
So she's rereading her favorite book that she's read 1,000 times, like Water for Chocolate, which is also torture porn. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
Don't read that twice.
Maybe choose joy. You know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Choose joy. And then okay, so then Toby comes clopping in on a horse. And when I say horse...
he's doing a trot right by.
Yeah, I don't mean a knight in shining armor horse that
it's a
is
quarter
one
horse.
that you can climb inside and drive from the inside with a steering wheel. Do you recall? I don't know if you remember that
I
joke.
do recall that. I do.
I mean, an actual fucking horse, like down the
Quarter
street.
horse with the chestnut manes and just clippity-clopping right down. And she's like, I have seen the most beautiful man who's ever existed in the world. And Lenny's very like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I saw the horse. I didn't see anyone else. Yeah. Lenny.
Horse girl,
Anyway, he comes back around and she like drops her book and she's like, I knew you'd come back. And he's probably who is this bitch?
Whoa.
What's up?
He comes back on a skateboard this time, Erin.
Oh, I forgot. Man, he's such a cowboy / skateboarder.
I know. I love it. And meanwhile, she has like posted up on a boulder and she's like pretending to read like Water for Chocolate, watching him dick that sister right down. And
such
then
a mood.
Skater Boy.
Such a mood.
I know. She's like lounging all sexily. And then Skater Boy comes up and she's like, I knew you'd come back. And like they're basically together from then on.
Yeah. So then they like start talking about how much they miss Bailey and they have like this kind of are they drinking tequila in this one? I think they are.
Tequila. He brings
They're drinking
tequila.
a little bit of tequila. She's trying it for the first time and they do get a little tipsers and they do
and he like does a touch on her cheek and looks into her eyeballs because she's like, I wish I wasn't the one who was here. And he's like, no, you're amazing. And Bailey would never want you to feel like that.
Can't stop thinking about you.
So beautiful.
You younger sister. And
so he then gets up and goes and sits on Bailey's bed. And looks at her all longingly. And so then she gets up and totters over there because let's recall, she's had tequila for the first time in her fucking life. She totters over there and sits down and he's like, I just want to be close to you. And so they lay down and they do a spoon in the dead sister's bed until morning times.
No, they make out.
No, really? Yes, they make out. You're right.
Yes,
and then they go do
make
the
out.
spoon. Yeah, I hate it.
You're beautiful, Len. No, I say, and choke out one word, Bailey. I know he says, but he kisses me anyway. I can't help it. He whispers it right into my mouth, and I can't help it either.
Yeah, and then he gets up to like put distance between them, but then he does the longing look, and then they do the spoon until morning. And listen, as much as I got it, this was such a cringe. The whole like this plot line.
I know,
was
but it's supposed to be. It's
cringe.
supposed to be a cringe, and it's supposed to be a romance, and it's. I totally got it. And I was just like,
I was just as mixed up as she was.
Oh God,
I was like,
so
of course, like of course she can't resist it, but also, anyway, now there's a tree.
You know, I really thought that this book was going to be like he had really been in love with Len the whole time, or he was like about to break up with sister or something. You know, like those. Yeah. Like the dive from Schmur Pier. Remember that one? I don't know. Yeah. That was a big one for a while. Where it's like, oh, they were like gonna break up and then the person died. And it's like, oh, what do you do? You know? Or even whatchamacallit, Lesbians in World War II. What was that book called that we read?
Yes.
You know, where it kind of like
the plain
gives
times.
You this tacit permission.
Yes.
You know, so when he was like, I proposed to her, I was like, and she said no. Like every time this kind of got set up, or he later on when he's like, I have a secret that I have to tell you. And I was like, yeah, she fucking broke up with you, bro. And that's what makes this okay. And it never gets okay. It only gets worse.
Miss Nelson. Wow, you
did
made
it.
some great choices in this book. And this was chief among them, maybe.
Yes.
God, it was so good
choices.
Because it was never, you're right, it was never okay. And yet, as a reader, you were just as twisted up as she was about how it just had to keep happening. And she couldn't figure out why. Ugh. Okay, so now she is hiding in that tree, if you'll recall.
Yes.
And there's like a down on the ground. And she's like, oh no! And it's New Boy. It's Joe Fontaine.
What? It's the new boy. The hot new boy. What?
No. And so he's like, oh, whoa.
Her
there you are. Yeah, and then he's like, oh, no, I wasn't following you at all. It's just, what are woods? Look at them. I'm here now, and I'm figuring out woods for the first time in my life. And she's like, all right, weirdo, why don't you just come up? And so he does bound up there like an eager gazelle. And they do a big banter about, lunch and how
he says he wants to play with her. He would like this is so fine arts high school. He wants to play music with her.
Do you want to play together sometime?
Do you want to do like a clarinet, trumpet, improv, jazz? Or
a clarinet guitar situation with me?
There is nothing I would like to listen to less than two high schoolers who think they're brilliant at music, one on a clarinet and one on a trumpet, trying to improv some jazz together.
Improv into each other's pants. Just like, no.
Oh, yeah. While secretly pining for each other. I can't.
And
good for them, but whoa, do I not want to watch that.
I was sitting there the whole time being like, oh my God.
Play beautiful music together.
Play with her?
Do it, Lenny.
Wow.
This is where he starts calling her John Lennon, which is like a cute nickname, but like it's also why she's named Lennon. So I didn't ever find it that cute. I was like, yep, that's her full name. Like, I don't really.
Yeah, okay. That's the homage.
Yeah, that's it. You thought of it, Joe. You did it.
Yeah. Anyway, she's like, no, I don't want to play with you. And he's like, why? And she's like, I just don't, okay? And he's like, fine. It wasn't my idea anyway. And he jumps down and scampers off. And she's like, wait, he's such a mystery.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it?
So mysterious.
Oh, no. Hey, HBs. Did you devour those Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure books in elementary school the same way I did? Well, steamy romance author Isabelle Peterson has created something. Oh boy. It's July, folks. That means new Bonkers Book Club selections. And let me tell you, our cup runneth over. First, there's a historical smorgasbord. You get the entire box set of Nicola Davidson's Surrey SFS series. If you're not familiar, that stands for Sexual Freedom Society. This box set includes 5 ridiculously spicy historicals, with a variety of gender pairings and trios, and so much more that makes my heart sing. Then, Jenny and Katie are offering up one of their all-time favorites, Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. That's the mafia book where the heroine accidentally sets the hero's house on fire and then makes sure her mouth is full of strawberries because she knows he's extremely allergic. Best wedding kiss ever, right? And then we decided to do a little bonus. We wanted to see if audiobooks are something you'd like as part of book club. And Kay Lorraine and Meg Ann have a series called The Mate Games. You get to listen to Book 1, Obsession. It's a paranormal reverse harem that's done with duet narration. And the cast of narrators is insanely good. So, Joybringers have tons to look forward to. If you want to join, check out our website. The link is in the show notes. Fun. Her married friend wants to set Penelope up with a guy she's convinced is perfect for her. Should she go on a blind date or hit the clubs? What about the choices after that? Depending on the path you choose, you could be taken down a rabbit hole of friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, a dom-sub relationship. There's even a surprise baby on the table. There's a wide range of romantic adventures, some with happily ever afters, some without. But when you get to the end, you can go back to the beginning, make different choices, and enjoy a different story. The one thing I can promise is Isabelle Peterson's signature sizzling bedroom heat. Beta and ARC readers are calling this book beyond fun, super hot, and a game changer. It comes out tomorrow as an Amazon exclusive, so if you have Kindle Unlimited, it will be immediately at your fingertips. If you don't, you can purchase from the link in our show notes.
Can I read you the first
Please.
A paragraph of the next chapter?
And
I'm reading you this paragraph, listener, so you can understand how fucking good this book was to make me tolerate shit like this. I wake to ennui, comma, Sarah's Jeep. Blink, 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 bat, bat, bat. Sorry, that's throughout the book. It's like whenever Joe bats his eyelashes, it says bat, 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 bat. It's cute. Listen, me, blink, blink, blink. Sarah's Jeep is not only named, but is named Ennui. And if that, the French word, it's not ennui, which honestly would be more funny. That sounds like it's a story. No, this is ennui. Honking down the road. It's an ambush. I roll over, look out the window, and see her jump out of her in her favorite black vintage gown. It's the morning. Platform combat boots. Back to blonde hair. So she was black. Now we're back to blonde. Tweaked into a nest, which to me means like teased up, and then maybe it means like teased up. So a ratty nest of blonde hair, cigarette hanging from her blood red lips, and a pancake of ghoulish white makeup. I look at the clock, 7:05 a.m. Ma'am, get it together.
Get it together.
Oof. Yeah.
Also,
so,
I don't understand being friends with a person who decides to kill themselves slowly because existentialism. Like, Sarah never stopped smoking.
Yeah, but how many of those friends did we have in college?
Did I?
Oh, come on.
We had friends who smoked, but never because nothing matters in the world.
100%.
All right,
100%. Call Best Tanya and ask for a list of people that we know that smoked because nothing matters in the world. And now are still smoking and super regret it.
Yeah, fair. All right, fine.
Because they grew up. Okay, all right. Okay, so now they talk about existentialism and French feminism and the Bronte sisters and, all those things.
Oh, because she wants to find a boy, but only if he can talk about dead French philosophers and the rest of the things that Erin just said out loud.
Yeah, and then she tells Sarah that she did smooch Toby, her dead sister's fiance.
Correct.
And Sarah tries very hard, does a commendable effort at not judge, but does fail hard, like all of us would.
It's a hard one. It's a tough.
Yeah, It would be tough. It would be tough not to be like, you what?
At the very least, like a.
And then she tries to be like, well, we didn't have sex. Like, I'm still a virgin. And it's like, that does not matter.
Wasn't even on my list of concerns.
Yeah, like the fact that you said it honestly makes it weird.
Completely.
Okay.
But I do love Sarah because the moment that Bailey died, Sarah started reading books on grief. She was just like, I can do this.
I'm going to study this.
I'm going to be the best friend in the whole wide world. And that's why being a virgin comes up, because she's like, no, I mean, grief sex is a thing. And she's like, I mean, we didn't have sex though. Like we would never cross that line. All right, now what happens, Erin?
Well, we get like kind of a chapter of her, we learn a little more about the mother and how the grandmother told them that she was an explorer and all this stuff. Her mother took off when they were toddlers, and they've tried to create this like kind of lore around like, oh, women are our family, just like take off and wander the world. And,
they have a restless gene.
Yeah. And, really like we as adults reading this book know that her mom just took off and it's awful.
Yeah, but her grandmother does she tries really, really hard to create a narrative in which they wouldn't vilify their mom in case she ever came back. Mm-hmm. And also that they would never feel like her taking off was their fault.
Right.
And I feel like if that's the line you're trying to toe, she did a real good job.
Right.
And, you know, she talks about her sister who did the same thing. Like, she just, like, showed up 20 years later and was, like, suddenly home again. But I also think that it does cultivate an unrealistic level of hope in two very small children.
Right.
Hoping their mom to come back. Anyway. All right, so now it's summer times.
Yes.
And Joe just starts showing up at their house.
Yes.
So Big, her Uncle Big, has always had these experiments with pyramids. I don't even understand how it happened.
You know what? I don't know when this was written. We've got to figure out what year this was
2010.
written.
I know, because there are 3 slurs in here that would not be okay.
Yep. So but here's the other thing besides the three words that Melody mentioned. Conspiracy theories and like Illuminati and pyramids and like all of that stuff no longer works as charm on me. When like Uncle Big is making pyramids and like burying bugs underneath them to see if he can resurrect the bugs
completely
due to the special properties of pyramids. I understand how that would have been quirky and twee in 2010, and it is not now.
But right now, it's
run
just
away
fucking
from
QAnon.
QAnon Big. Like, I
Get
don't
out of
want
here.
anything to do with this guy. He's gonna switch. He's gonna go from Maddow to Trump in an instant. Like, this guy's gonna switch right over from Bernie to Trump, and it's gonna be bad. And that was kind of like the low-key anxiety I had with this character the whole time, which was completely unfounded. This is not your fault, Jandy. This is 2020's
No, this is just the
fault.
times we live in.
Yeah,
now.
This is
our
function
baggage
of
that you didn't have back then. You sweet summer child.
This is our trauma, not yours.
That's right.
Okay.
So anyway, he's been doing that, and Joe shows up, and she's very like, "Oh my God, everybody hide, pretend we don't exist. We don't live here anymore."
Band. I can't look at him. He's too beautiful. I can't.
He's so gorgeous.
Such butterflies.
But Graham does invite him in, and she's like dying on the inside every single time her quirky family is quirky at him.
Yes.
But every time she looks over,
loving it.
He is eating it up with a shovel. He is climbing into the trough to get more family quirk.
Yes.
And it's kind of adorable.
He sees her writing a poem on the sole of her shoe.
Oh my God.
And he's like, run out of paper, John Lennon. So
she's like, "Oh, I majored in dork at college." That's her inner monologue.
There's so many times in this book where it's like she's doing something and then the narrative is like, I jot down a poem and walk away. Like, I jot down a poem and throw it into the air.
And it's breeze.
Like, and then, you know, the poems are kind of spattered throughout the book. But it's like, man, I have never in my life just like jotted a poem and walked away. Like, if I've ever sat down and written a poem, especially at 17, I sweated.
An afternoon event.
Oh, yeah. It's like, clear the house, a poem is coming.
That's exactly right.
The artist must think about what to put in her aim away message. She will write the poem now. Like, I just can't imagine jotting a poem at,
and then, like, flicking
17.
your hair and walking away. No big deal. Because that's the other thing. Once I actually got a poem down on paper, like it was historical record now. I kept it forever. Like, people would have to see it. I would have to casually drop the fact that I had, like, just casually written a poem when really it had been 4.5 hours of me, like, going up to get snacks to figure out just the right word.
No, like, and or not getting any snacks. Like, no.
Oh yeah,
I can't get any snacks until I'm done
can't be
with the
distracted
poem.
until this
sweat
poem
it out.
comes out of me.
I feel like, or either everyone must know poem and see poem,
or no one,
or lock poem in lockbox under
deepest
bed,
corner of your heart,
and then somehow get angry at others for not knowing the depth of your poem and like your heart. Like,
because you're so misunderstood.
Be mad at the world for being unchanged after a poem has been wrought and put into lockbox. How dare. You know?
Oh no, it's too real. It's too real.
It hurts you, right?
It doesn't hurt.
Dude, I saw this TikTok where this girl was like talking about like POV. You're 11 years old and you're out at the pool, but you're not getting in the water because you want people to think that you're a mermaid. But you really want to get in the water, but like you really want people to like talk behind your back about like she wasn't in the water. Is she a mermaid?
Is she a mermaid?
And she's like standing next to the pool, like tucking her hair behind her ear, like, oh, I would get in the water, but I have an affliction. There's like
something happens.
And I was like, it's too real, it's too real, it's too real. Like, shake it off. I can't do it.
It's so true. Oh my God.
Oh God, we are such weird losers. Anyway, I have a lot of respect for Lenny that she can just litter her poems all around Cloverville.
Even though she's a fucking litter bug.
No, those are both movies. What is this place called? Clover Heights.
I have literally
Clover.
no idea.
Okay,
what
fair
it's
enough,
called.
fair enough.
Clover.
Okay.
No, you're thinking the name of the school, Clover High.
Yeah, where they live though.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't know.
Well, I just assumed they lived in Cloverton, I guess.
Cloverfield.
Their school's Cloverville. All right.
Okay, wait. So now he's like, hey, do you want to play now maybe? And she's like, oh, before I lose my nerve, I just say, it's not that I don't want to play with you. It's just that I'm a companion pony. And they don't do solos. And he's like, it's very like that. And he's like, well, you know, every musician is afraid to face plant. Like that's, and she's like in her brain, she's like, no, it's more for me. It's not just nerves, not just pedestrian nerves for me.
Right,
so good.
right. I'm different and special. And then she wants to know who like recommended that they play together. And then it turns out that her like clarinet special tutor is also like his France special tutor, and she was trying to like get them together to make beautiful music together. Marguerite, which is a name I can only think of in terms of Ever After, and it is forever tainted for me. Anytime there's a Marguerite, it is that Marguerite, and it will never be anyone else. That was a bee. Okay.
So now so it's nighttime now. And she's like going to bed.
This isn't where she plays her clarinet for him, right? This
no,
isn't where
that's
she's like,
next time.
Okay.
No, now it's a pebble on the window and a walk in the woods with Toby. And she knows she shouldn't do it, but she's going to go do it. So they do walk in the woods, and she asks if he feels more alive after Bailey died. And he's like, I feel more everything.
Mostly boners. He doesn't say that.
So hot for her younger sister, who was a baked potato previous to this.
Yeah.
And, he's also been pulling a Bella Swan.
He's been doing super dangerous skateboard tricks. I can't. So, the skateboard tricks he's been doing have been so dangerous.
This is crazy stuff, man.
Just like crazy skateboard tricks. And she thinks to herself that like Toby's such a good skateboarder that if he's doing tricks that are like so dangerous, that they're probably like really dangerous skateboard tricks. Like, you know, like, whoa, if Toby thinks they're dangerous, they're probably like crazy dangerous.
This isn't just an ollie, you guys. Okay.
He's not out here doing kick flips. He's doing double kick flips. It's nuts. Oh man. I loved
every
skateboarding.
moment of this book. I loved it. It was too real. It was so real.
It hit me right where I live. Like, no, Toby, don't do dangerous skateboarding.
Don't do it. Bailey would hate that for you.
Can you imagine these two 20 years later looking back at this time and just being like, not even like, I regret what we did, you know, how we did make out.
No.
Just being like, God, we were losers.
What idiots. What dummies. Anyway, so they go up and they do lay by a waterfall.
They do.
And they talk about how Bailey wanted to get married right in that spot and how she and Toby had planned out this whole wedding ceremony. And then she starts crying and then he starts doing a big loom over her face. And then they are tearfully making out again. And everything about it is a cringe and yet totally understandable.
But it's also like, it's hot too. Like,
I know,
you guys,
I know.
It's weird because you're reading it in her POV and you're just like, gosh, this guy is like really hot skateboard cowboy. And like, it is just like hormonal and like pheromone, you know, it's very just like, there's a big need there that you feel when you're reading this book.
It's a bewildered need, right? Because like nobody can understand.
Yes. They talk about how Bailey is dead a lot, but they also talk about how Bailey is mad at them a lot.
All the time.
That's one of the most beautiful things that's stitched together here because it's very like, we shouldn't be doing this to her as if she's alive and he's cheating on her, which is impossible. And also very like, she's in a coffin. How do we live with this? And it's, oh God, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's
so gorgeous because it's perfectly woven together to show, I don't know, just how like fraught this whole thing is for both of them and how confused they are the whole time and how they don't know which way is up. And yet they do know that they viscerally need their mouths to be mashed together as much as possible.
Yes.
And oof, it's like when Claire and British soldier, John, they do that grief bang because they think that Jamie's died at sea.
I don't recall.
So listen.
But I'm very...
So Claire and Jamie, you know, long lost,
we are talking about Outlander.
Lovers. We are in Outlander times right now.
As everyone knows, I could not get past the first book due to herbs.
All the herbs. It was a mini herbs.
Literally... For the first time on Heaving Bosoms, literally the herbs are what prevented me from getting to book 2.
It is what coined the phrase, herbs, herbs, herbs.
Yes, it did.
But no, sorry everyone, it's a spoiler. I already said it, so if you want to skip ahead and not know the whole context, like please do. But the book's been out for 20 years, so also shut the fuck up. All right, so they think Jamie's died at sea, and so his wife and the gay man who has been like unrequitedly in absolute heart-wrenching lust with him his whole life and love and all those things, they do a big grief bang together because they just like need to feel a person who also loved Jamie that much. And it's so real. It's so real.
Yes.
This is what's happening right now. Okay. So now Joe is now coming every morning. He's just coming. He's bringing croissants.
Of course he is. He's so French.
He's so French times. He's so French. And he's also always doing experiments with big pyramids. He's like into...
He's bringing this crazed man dead bugs to put under his pyramid.
And then he decides that like the Lenny plant needs to go under the pyramid to try to resurrect the Lenny plant. Like...
Yes. There's a whole runner about like exploding cakes. They want to try to make an exploder cake due to friction of flour because they read about it in like some internet. Listen,
Science magazine.
He's really getting in with the family. And
he really is.
It's pretty great. Then one day, Lenny's like, you want to go play together?
Because, no, it's the next day. Toby calls. And she's like, have to ignore. And everybody's like, wonder why she didn't answer her phone. And she's like, should we play?
What's your deal with Toby? Yeah, let's play instrument duet. So they go out to the forest.
No, they go out to their front porch.
They go out to front porch, I guess. Yeah. And then instead of playing, I love it.
I do too.
Instead of playing a song with her
she basically just
new
goes,
friend, she just bleats a crazy anger note into her clarinet. Just for like a minute. And then she's like, thank you. And that's my solo.
It's so
Did you
love
it? Marguerite trained me. So...
No, but really what he says is, oh, wow, next time you should lead and I'll follow. Because, like,
No, she just kind of, like, loses her mind. She hasn't enjoyed playing her clarinet. She's just been kind of going through the motions, and she's, like, really mad and frustrated, so she just plays this
she just emotes through her instrument, and it's, like, really cathartic. It's gorgeous,
objectively
actually,
beautiful,
but it's
when
hilarious.
you think back on it, it is hilarious.
It's so funny.
The idea that Joe didn't just kind of, like, get weirded out and
turn tail and
real
like slowly walk
to
away.
this boy's French love. That's all I have to say.
No,
okay.
I know the boner is strong in this one. So she comes home one day, and her gram has enlisted Joe and like his brothers to take all the stuff out of their house so that she can decide which thing is unlucky and like do a sage cleansing ritual.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of appropriation, but
it's
we're just saying it out loud. Huh? Hate hippies.
Hate hippies.
It's not your culture.
It's this kind of stuff. Listen, can we just go to therapy? Like, do we have to listen? And it's performative, and I just, you guys, like, let's just talk it out. We don't need to put all the furniture on the front lawn. Let's just take a breath. All right? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
while this is all happening, one of his brothers is like, "Oh man, Joe, you've got it real bad." And Lenny's like, she thinks to herself, like, if he's got it real bad, why hasn't he mashed his face on mine yet?
Yeah.
Am down, love a face mash. I don't understand. He's like been acting like my brother. So anyway, she then watches the brothers like be all camaraderie and love each other and stuff. And she does have a meltdown. Where she goes running into the woods. He chases her, and she turns around and she shouts at him, "You're never, ever going to know my sister. Yeah. And you have so many brothers."
Yes. He's like, and they're so cool and nice and supportive, and now she has no one.
You're perfect together. And he's like, she says, "I don't know why you're hanging out with us all the time." And he very, very gently is like, "Oh, Lenny, you don't."
Very cool, very confident, very
he's like,
sexy.
"I like you, duh. You're amazing and you're gorgeous, and I'm kind of shallow like that, so
hot.
That's why I've been around." This child is so smooth, Erin.
Yes.
This child has moves.
Child. Listen.
17-year-old Melody was like on the forest floor. Mount me.
Liked it. So also her first thought when he says that she's like super hot and super cool and super great and he likes her so much, her first thought is he thinks that because he's never met Bailey. Because she was the cool, hot, fun sister. It's rough.
And then she thinks to herself, and I'm kind of glad he's never going to meet Bailey.
Yeah. That's
and
rough.
then, of course, she feels awful about it, even though that's like, thoughts are weird, everybody. Yeah. Like, that's not what she meant.
Happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Anyway, and so then she's like, "What about you and Rachel?" And he's like, "Rachel who? Am only eyes for Lenny."
Yeah.
And then she thinks he's going to kiss her, but instead he goes in for the manliest, most comforting captainry hug I've ever seen in my life.
Well, first he undoes her hairs like a Bill Compton.
He snarls it.
He snarls it.
He snarls it.
Yeah. And some of what she talks about is how her sister always wore, they have this wild black curly hair, and her sister always wore it wild and down, and she always like tames it and holds it back in a ponytail.
Yeah.
And he snarls it, man.
Oh,
and
God.
then he does hold her. Like
he does that
only
Captain Rehug.
17-year-old boy can do. Yeah.
No, he did it like a North Korean soldier who is so honorable and has cheekbones you need to dodge. All right?
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's a Crash Landing on You reference. It's all on Patreon.
Yes.
All right. So they walk into the woods more, and he's like freaked out by the creaky woods because they're so creaky. And she's like, "It's daytime, you weirdo."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Yeah, I totally face planted this morning." And he was like, "No, all I heard was emotion and like the
Hot.
depths of your soul and stuff.
Oh man, he does have it bad.
He's got it real bad. They both do. Trumpet and a clarinet bleat. And they're like hot for it. Okay, so now she goes back and Toby is now there. His truck is outside and she does a big
No,
panic.
they do say they're going to come back sometime on a really windy day
Oh, yeah.
to really hear those redwoods get spooky, you know? Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
to get spooked out by him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now Toby's there. And it's really, really super awkward. Like, they're both sort of sizing each other up and they don't know why. And then Graham comes over and she's like, "Oh, Joe, meet our dead daughter's Bailey's boyfriend, fiance."
And Joe's like, oh, okay.
And Joe's like, "Oh, hey, I'm so sorry for what happened.
'Cause he
I'm
was
going to go
getting
play a
vibes
bunch
on,
of
like-
music now."
Yeah, it's like Toby it's not just like, oh, there's a guy here and I don't like it.
No.
Because like Toby's giving him looks and then he's like, wait, why is that guy giving me looks? Like,
Yeah.
and he's a young, eligible skater cowboy. So I'm going to give him looks. And then it's like, why is that guy giving me? So it's like, it's back and forth like, what's
No, they're both
going
doing
on?
like a weird "are you staking claim" kind of situation at each other. And it's because they are. And so then Toby's like, "I'm going to go." And she's like, "I'll walk you out." And Joe's just like strumming on his fucking banjo over there with his brothers. He's just like in the
Hair
music
just
now.
flopping all around.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. And it's batting his eyelashes at his guitar.
And then Lenny, he's like, when can I come back? And Lenny's like, after work. I'm like, Lenny.
After work tomorrow, Lenny.
Stop it. Stop doing it. Stop.
I know. And yet I know why she can't.
Yet I just, I also want them to make out.
It's so weird. It's weird in my whole soul.
Yep.
So now she says she doesn't feel well and she's going to go upstairs. And so Joe follows her. And this smooth as butter child is like, "Hey, I hope what I said out there didn't weird you out." And she's like, "No, never. I loved what you said out there." And he says, "Good, because Lenny, I'm going crazy." And then he touches her lip with his index finger. It's like a 3-second touch. Count them: 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Index finger on the fucking lips. And then she's like, "I don't know what to do." And then he turns around and he walks away without a word.
It's so good. Yep.
I'm not okay. All right. So
then
now
we get some mom stuff. She's going through Bailey's stuff.
Yeah. We get some mom stuff, and she also leaves Bailey a voicemail. And ooh, this hit me where I live.
And this isn't the first time she's done it. She did it back when, too.
But this time she says, what are the companion ponies supposed to do when the racehorse dies? And then she hangs up. And ooh, I did this with my dad's voicemail way too much.
She thinks that she wishes she could delete the voicemail so Bailey doesn't hear it. Sweet child, she's not checking her voicemail. Like, it's just, it's heart-wrenching. So, okay, so then we get some mom stuff. She's going through Bailey's stuff, and she sees that she, like, hired a private investigator. Like, she's trying to find her mom. And it's weird because, like, they used to talk about their mom all the time, and she thought that if Bailey was really seriously trying to find their mom, that she would tell her. And she's found all of these, kind of throughout the book, she's finding all these papers and stuff in her desk where Bailey was very seriously looking for the mother.
Yeah.
And anyway.
And so she kind of doesn't know how to make heads or tails of that, but she's just going to sort of keep going on. So now the next day, Joe walks her to work, and he talks about like Paris and how they should go, and they can like be street buskers and make a bunch of money and drink red wine and only eat chocolate croissants and make love all night and never sleep because nobody in Paris sleeps. And it is a big teenage that I loved. And then she looks at him and she's like, "God, you're gorgeous." And she can't believe that she just said that out loud. Oh no. But then they kiss, and they kiss into the moon.
Yes.
But we don't see the
This
kiss.
is where the title comes in, because like one time her Uncle
Yes.
Big told her that the sky goes all the way down. So we're like in the sky now and the sky is everywhere. And she never got that because it's like up there. Like,
But as
what an
soon
idiot.
as Joe Fontaine kisses her.
Then she feels it. She feels the sky. She's in the sky. It's everywhere. It's the title of the book. Okay.
Also,
okay.
wait, real quick.
Yes.
Their very first meeting out on the porch where he was trying to get her to play with him, he did say out loud, I had this vision of us holding hands like in a meadow and then just like flying off into the sky together.
Yes.
Because she likened him to her favorite Saint Joe of Casparilla or something.
She loves saints for some reason.
Do levitation.
Yeah.
Listen, he's already been like doing a big romance at her for a while, and now they finally kissed. Okay, but then the same exact day, after work, Toby is there in Bailey and her room, and he is sitting on her bed, and without a fucking word, she walks toward him, he walks toward her, and it is on TM. But it's also so fucking hot. Like they are frantically making out and tearing each other's clothes off and just like trying to feel something that's not Bailey's death. But then knock. John Lennon, are you home? Oh, fuck balls.
No.
Frantic getting dressed.
Get all their clothes on. Getting all their
And
clothes
she's
on.
like,
and then,
this can't happen anymore. Please, we can't do this. And he's like, I just can't stop thinking about you. And she's like, it's not me. I'm not her.
She tells Toby, we have to stop. It doesn't make me feel better anymore. Like it's making me feel worse now. It like now, before I was feeling kind of like closer to her. It doesn't make me miss her less, is what she's saying. Now it makes me miss her more, and we have to stop.
Oof.
And he's kind of like, yeah, I get it.
And then Joe comes in, and before he sees Toby in there, he basically like shouts down the hall, oh my gosh, come over tonight. We're going to have the house all to ourselves, basically. And then he sees Toby in there, and he's like, huh. And she's like, oh, we were just going through Bailey's stuff.
About how
just
much
doing
we miss my dead
bereaved
sister.
things.
Just doing really chaste death grief.
Yeah.
So doing death grief.
Real
together.
sad stuff in here.
And then Toby does just skateboard away.
Yeah, he
sadly.
does. He's like, I was leaving anyway.
Oh, man. And then, like, whiplash, man. Then she goes to Joe's house.
Well, wait, because he's like, he's about to ask her. He's like, is there anything? And she's like, make out with my face so that you don't finish your question.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. And so then they do that big make out. And when he's all dazzled and dazed and stuff, she's like, yes, I will come to your house. So she gets dressed up and goes over there. And she sees his whole beautiful house in Maison Fontaine.
Oh, my God, I can't.
It's so French. And she goes into his room, and it's like a bomb went off in there. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he gets all
just
sheepish.
so much amps and like just so many guitars and amps and like
many instruments.
So much speakers and like instruments and like just all his music that he writes.
Handwritten sheet music strewn about the floor.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And so she's like, wow, this is a thing. And he's like, yeah, I wanted to kind of wait to show you this until. And she's like, until what? And
Until
he's like,
what?
No, never mind. And she's like, no,
I don't know.
until what? He's like, until maybe you decided that you liked me a little bit. And she's like, I like you a lot. And then, boy, they kiss again. And then she says something like, we have to stop kissing or I think the earth is going to explode.
Yeah.
And then he's like, we could go do something else then. And then he goes to get wine because he's very French. And she sees a journal.
If somebody wrote down the plot of this book and like all the things he is and all the things she is and this family and everything, I would just be like, bleh, no.
Yeah. And yet, this is one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah. And man, God, yes, he is so French. I just hate it. Okay.
So she sees a journal that he's written. And she's like, oh, you're writing journals too. And she reads it and it's like, JL is so heartbroken and I just want to make her feel better. And she's so honest and she's nothing like Genevieve.
I would like to say
Yes.
If you have the Kindle, if you have a Kindle Paperwhite and you are trying to read this book, you cannot read anything handwritten in the book. Did you have this problem?
I did,
I can't read it at all. Mm-hmm. So I actually had to go listen to the Audible to get these portions, and also the notes that the grandmother later writes. And just so you know, I listened to the audio, and the audio narrator pronounces Genevieve in such a crazy French way.
It's Genevieve.
Genevieve. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, my God. And then later, when I was back to reading, I was like, the fuck is Genevieve? Like, I thought he was with some
Genevieve.
It took entirely too long for me to figure out that Genevieve and Genevieve were the same person. Like way too long. And also, I missed the first time that the Jeep was named Ennui. So when I was listening to the audio, I was like, God, she's overusing that word and in weird ways. Like, Ennui
we'll jump in
up to the curb. I heard ennui pulling into my driveway, and I'm like, what a weird way to use that strange French word. And then,
what a weird way to talk about that emotion.
Yeah, because I was thinking about this is something I need to bring up on the show because it is so weird how often she uses it. And so I did a search for ennui in the book to be like, this is the French doors of this French book. And then I was like, oh, it's the name of the Jeep, which is honestly worse.
It's worse. But it's worse for Erin.
At least it's the character doing it and not the author. I was like, oh yeah, I get it for that insufferable girl. Her name and her Jeep on.
Completely.
Anyway, so predictably, surprising no one, the French was confusing for me in this book.
That really came out of left field, Erin.
Again, my trauma, not yours. Not your fault, Jandy.
Miss Nelson, you're perfect in every way.
You're fine. You're
great. Okay, so now they are laying on the lawn and they're getting drunk. And he's like, I've never felt like this before in my whole life. Mm-hmm. And she's like, me neither. And he asks if she's ever been in love before. And she's like, no. And he's like, I maybe have been, but I don't really know. And then he tells her all about Genevieve, and she, blah, 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 blah.
No, that's very important.
Oh, you're right. Genevieve
you're right. / Genevieve. Yeah. He found her making out with her roommate or something.
With his
she cheated
roommate.
on him. With his roommate. And then he never spoke to her again.
Or the roommate. He never spoke to either of them again.
Because you never cross a horn player.
You never cross a horn player. Can we read that whole section? Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah. We have to read that whole section. It made me so happy. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
All right. So he's like, oh, moral of the story, never date a violinist, because that's what Genevieve was. And she's like, oh yeah, what about clarinetists? He smiles, the most soulful. He trails a finger across my face, forehead to cheek to chin, then down my neck. Holy fuck balls, this smooth child. And he's so beautiful. Oh my, I totally get why King Edward VIII of England abdicated his throne for love. If I had a throne, I'd abdicate it just to relive the last 3 seconds. And horn players, I ask, entwining my fingers with his. He shakes his head. Crazy hellions, steer clear. All or nothing types. No middle ground for the blowhards. Uh-oh, it says. It literally says, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And then it says, never want to cross a horn player, he adds flippantly. But I don't hear it flippantly. I can't believe I lied to him today.
Oh, yeah, because she was just fucking, tits out for Toby.
Humping Toby. Humping
he had his
him.
hand down her pants.
In her
moments
pants.
ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she's like, I have to stay away from Toby, far away. And then she goes, I didn't know you horn guys were so scary. And she goes, and guitarists? He says, you tell me. Let me think. Homely and boring, and of course, talentless. He cracks up. I'm not done. But they make up for it with, they make up for all of that because they're so, so passionate. Oh, God, he whispers, reaching his hand behind my neck and bringing it to my lips. Or bringing my lips to his. let's let the whole fucking world explode this time. And we do.
It was hot. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to say this might be divisive.
Okay.
But I'm just going to say it.
You gotta live your
Clarinetists
truth,
are
Erin.
weird. They're weird, and they're not any of these things. And you know what? I'm sorry, clarinetist listener. You're weird. I'm sorry. It's true. I like some weird people. I like weirdos. That's fine.
Erin likes
you're
me.
weird. Listen, maybe it's because I'm a stuck-up flute player. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's because I'm a flute person.
I think you're a flautist, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it. But all you clarinetists, weird. All of you are
Weirdos.
quiet and weird and strange and weird.
Okay.
That's how
All
that's
right.
and not
Weird.
soulful. What did he say? No, none of these.
Soulful
none
and
of
beautiful is what he
Well,
said.
sure, you're
and
maybe
listener,
beautiful.
I
but
bet
weird
you're that
beautiful.
too.
Yeah, you're probably beautiful. But you
Okay.
know, weird though.
Okay, we are moving on before we get hate mail from clarinetists.
Listen, we're going to probably lose some clarinetists, but we're going to gain a lot of other people who were in band that are like,
The rest of the band.
Yes. We're glad somebody finally said it. They're weird over there.
Wow,
the
Erin,
clarinetists.
you're brave.
Yeah.
This is bravery
Yes, thank
in
you.
action.
Thank you.
This is
and you know what,
courageous.
clarinetists? If you're still listening, not as weird as oboes. There you go. Not the worst. And hey there, oboe. Hi, oboe. Not as bad as a French horn. There you go. That's the bottom of the bucket. That's the weirdest kid in band is the French horns.
Okay. I
All
know
right.
nothing about a high school band, so I guess I
I'll
have to
make a
just take
list.
your word for it. The
All right.
hierarchy according to Erin.
Of weirdness, not of
Yeah.
worth,
No, completely.
All right.
Okay. So now they have a whole scene with Sarah. She tells Sarah all about Joe, but not about the crazy makeout pants down the pants with
Well,
Toby.
it didn't go great the first time she told Sarah
Yeah.
that she made out with Toby.
Yeah, it didn't go great. You're right.
Yeah.
And now Toby is back at her house, and she's like, "Ooh, I'm going to go up to my room to avoid him." But when she's up there, she finds a notebook with even more evidence that her sister was looking for their mom. And she's like, what the fuck? So she goes down and she talks to him, and she's like, what, do you know why this was happening? Because she didn't talk to me about it. And he's like, oh, I wasn't going to tell you. It's going to make it so much worse. And so then she forces him to tell her. And Bailey was pregnant. They were going to have a baby, and
That's why they were going to get married
It.
so quick.
Yeah.
They were going to tell everybody like the next day or something.
Yeah. It's
rough.
very sad.
And
It's very
again,
tragic.
I really thought he was going to be like, we were breaking up, or I did not think she was going to be pregnant.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think I skipped ahead.
You may have.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
I mean-
so now...
The truth of the situation is we are halfway through this book.
This shouldn't be a two-parter, but it is, Erin. It is.
We did it.
We did it. Listener, we did it. I'm sorry. I really thought it wasn't going to be
too.
this time. I thought this time we were going to have our shit together, but it turns out we just love talking too much. So we'll see you for part 2.
Yeah,
We've gotten a couple of good makeouts, a couple of illicit makeouts, a couple of big romance makeouts. Good stuff is happening over here. A lot of deep, soulful grieving that is just very good, very hard,
a lot
very
of
good.
teen angst
Oh yeah, a lot of teen angst,
and self-importance, delusions of grandeur.
lots of that. All right, Erin, do you have a lady love? I've got one. My lady love is a bowl of berries. A giant bowl of berries.
She's literally holding it up because it's what she looked at.
No, but I'm serious. This whole recording, I have been enjoying this incredibly giant, incredibly good bowl of strawberries and blueberries, and I have been the happiest. Part of it is talking to you, of course, but the other part of it is these absolutely succulent berries. So that's my lady love. What's your lady love, Erin?
You know what's funny is how I see, since I'm still on Facebook, I screen all of the people who come into the cult.
Yeah.
Are the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult, which is our Facebook group.
Yep.
And so we ask 3 questions for you to come into the cult. You would not believe the number of people who click join and then answer no questions. Like 20 a day. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But one of them is, what's your favorite segment? And so many of them say lady loves.
Really?
And boy, have I just been winging it for like a year. Just looking at stuff in my room and just being like, computers are my scissors are my lady love. Like, man, I've just been phoning that in for a really long time and just bamboozling these women and a couple of men.
Some men. Yeah.
The occasional man.
Some non-binary people. Yeah.
Yes, and many theys. Very few men. Mostly women and theys.
Yeah.
And 2 men, maybe. Let's see. Okay, all right.
Is yours haircuts?
No.
Oh, you look really good.
We've said haircuts so many times.
It's good for your soul. Oh my God. I just was listening to our coverage of Killing Me Softly for a different project. And I just remembered how that alien did say, I have to go get my hair trimmed.
Oh, yes.
Made me really happy.
Yes.
Anyway.
God. That's when she's wearing that blue scarf.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a metaphor. Oh, God, I love that movie. Okay. God, I just haven't been enjoying anything in so long. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. What do we got?
Hey, Erin, it's okay if you don't have one.
Okay.
If that's what life is like right now, let's just
anything.
be honest about it.
Hey, you know what? Being honest about how you take no enjoyment in anything anymore.
Yeah.
That's my lady love.
There you go.
Shout it proud. I haven't enjoyed anything in weeks. Just say it. Say it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I ate half a thing of ice creams. Didn't enjoy one bite. Kept going. Took no pleasure from it because I thought maybe I should say that flavors of ice cream, which is, you know what? I'm not even going to say the brand because I get made fun of every time I say it. But you know what? That brand, the like double chocolate Moose Tracks, and I ate like all of it, but I wasn't going to use as my lady love because I did not enjoy it. And I'm honest.
That's right. You're just that moment where you're standing there just going, maybe the next bite is the one that'll really do it.
It's going to help.
The next bite's going to help. Something has to help.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can find us on all the places. We're on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms. Twitter is at Heaving_Bosoms. I am more on Twitters and Instagrams than I am. We do have Facebooks, though. We have a page and we have a group. The group is super happy. I just can't do Facebook anymore. That is the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult.
Our Twitter is going to have our hot takes. It's going to have our funny jokes and our hot takes.
Yep.
The Instagram has really funny videos that are made by Mary and little quotes and cartoons and all kinds of stuff that Natalie puts together for us.
Yep.
That don't appear on the Twitter. And the hot takes don't appear on the Instagram. And the stuff you get from the cult is totally different. That's camaraderie and friends and man, the meetups are like quietly starting to start again a little bit in different places where it's okay to do that. Like, so people are making real life friends
there. Yeah.
Book recs. Yeah. So like really, I'm not just trying to be, like a self-promoting asshole when I say you really need to follow all of them because it's different content.
Yeah, we design it that way. It's where it's what fits best in each of the medias.
And don't sleep on the website,
Oh man.
It's all kinds of like the deals, the historical romance retreat you'll find there, and the newsletter. Don't sleep on the news. That's a whole different thing. You can get author features and giveaways and sneak peeks of stuff, all kinds of stuff in the newsletter.
Yep.
You can do that on the website. Patreon is through the website.
Yeah.
Get that Patreon.
Patreon is a metric fuck ton of bonus content and sneak peeks and book clubs and trivia.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's fun shit. So that's patreon.com/Heaving Bosoms podcast. And keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love clearing the space, clearing the afternoon to write a poem.
Love yourself as much as you love writing that poem and locking it away forever.
Locking it away. And then being mad at the boy who doesn't know that you wrote the poem about him. He just continues his life.
Yeah, love yourself that much.
That is a lot of love.
Love yourself as much as you love being fully consumed with your aim away message.
And like sitting there waiting for someone to say something about it. Erin, I've noticed that your aim away message is kind of cryptic. Like, what's
Those
that about?
And
And then you're like, so glad they asked. But then you're like, it's nothing, Heather. God, it's just some random lyrics. It's definitely not about Jason or whatever, you know?
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.